What's going on, everybody? This is Liberty Talk. Wearing my George Washington Give Me Liberty shirt for a very special reason today. We're going to be talking about something very important. We're going to be talking about the New World Order is. I've never seen the New World Order this confident before. The New World Order is on a full frontal assault. Now, in the United States, we see a significant decline in morality. We're seeing the decline of morality. We're seeing the decline of masculinity. People want to throw around this term, toxic masculinity. There's no such thing as toxic masculinity, but we are suffering from a lack of masculinity. If anything, we're suffering from toxic feminism, if you will, toxic feminism. Not that I have anything against feminism or the feminist movement, because I believe that women should have equal rights under the law. They should have equal protection under the Constitution, and they should have equal opportunities as men. And the New World Order is using this to divide us. It's the oldest war tactic in the book, divide and conquer. The same thing with, people that are gay. The argument is over. Gay people can get married. Gay marriage is legal in this country, and there's nothing wrong with that. You have the right to marry whoever you want to marry. I believe that women should be protected under the Constitution. Gay people are protected under the Constitution. Minority communities are protected under the Constitution. That's the way it should be. The problem comes when you have these groups that want special privileges, special rights. It doesn't work that way. You don't get any special privileges. You get protection under the Constitution just like everyone else. But while the New World Order is dividing and conquering us over here, because you have straight against gay, black against white, all these old arguments, these old tactics that work for the New World Order, I'm going to read something to you today that might convince you all to come together as Americans and stand up for your freedom before you lose it. Zbigniew Brzezinski, he made a little comment. Now, he's passed away now. He passed away in 2016, 2017, but he was a big part of the New World Order at the time. Quote, "For the first time in all of human history, almost all of mankind is politically awake. And these new and old major powers face somewhat a new novel reality, in some respects unprecedented. And it is that while the lethality of their power is greater than ever, their capacity to impose control over the political awakened masses of the world is at a historical low. I once put it rather bluntly, and I was flattered that the British Monosecretary repeated this as followed. In early times, it was easier to control 1,000,000 people than to physically kill 1,000,000 people. Today, it is infinitely easier, listen to this closely, to kill 1,000,000 people than it is to control 1,000,000 people." If that doesn't tell you what the New World Order, unquote, by the way, if that doesn't tell you what the New World Order wants right there, I don't know what will. See, I don't know what it is with these people. I don't know if they're narcissists. I don't know if they're control freaks. They can't just let people be free. They can't just leave people alone. They have to control and monitor, and that's how they are. And the New World Order cannot be allowed to work. It cannot be allowed to be completed, and it cannot be allowed to function. Liberty must rule the world. Brzezinski was a Polish-American diplomat and a political scientist. Not a very good one, by the way. He served as a counselor to President Lyndon B. Johnson from 1966 to 68 and was President Jimmy Carter's national security advisor from 1977 to 1981. We have to stop all this divisiveness in the country. We have to come together, white, black, gay, straight, whatever you may be, man, woman, and fight for our liberty. Now, Dr. Yuval Noah Harari, he's of Israeli descent. I believe I'm pronouncing his name correctly. I would like to read a quotation that he made. Now, all these people that want to bring about the New World Order are usually communists, socialists. That's just the way they are. And as smart as they are, or as smart as they claim to be, I'll put it that way, they just can't learn a very simple lesson. Communism and socialism fail every time they're tried. People starve every time they're tried. And countries collapse every time they're tried. These people cannot learn that lesson for some reason. But let me read this quote from Dr. Yuval Noah Harari. Quote, Lenin was once asked to define communism in a single sentence. Communism is power to worker councils, he said, plus electrification of the whole country. There can be no communism without electricity, without railroads, without radio. You cannot establish you could not establish a communist regime in 16th century Russia because communism necessitates the concentration of information and resources into one hub, from each according to his ability, to each according to his needs. Only works when produce can easily be collected and distributed across vast distances, and when activities can be mentioned and coordinated over entire countries. Marx and his followers understood the new technology and the new technical realities and the new human experiences. They had relevant answers to the new problems of industrial society, as well as original ideas about how to benefit from the unprecedented opportunities. Now listen to this part very carefully. This will tell you what this guy believes and what he wants to bring about. The socialists created a brave new world. They promised salvation through technology and economics, thus establishing the first techno-religion in history and changing the foundations of ideological discourse. Before Marx, people defined and divided themselves according to their views about God, not about production methods. Since Marx, questions of technology and economic structure became far more important and decisive than debates about the soul and the afterlife. In the second half of the 20th century, humankind almost obliterated itself in an argument about production methods. He's talking about the Cold War, free market versus communism. It wasn't just about production methods. He knows that, and he's intentionally being vague. Even the hardest critics of Marx and Lenin adopted their basic attitudes towards history and society, false, and began thinking about technology and production much more carefully than about God and heaven. There's a lot to break down here. First of all, when he talks about Marx and Lenin establishing a techno-religion, that's false. They never did that, but that's something that he clearly wants to bring about. He also talks here about the hardest critics of Lenin and Marx adopting their basic attitudes towards history and society. That's nonsense. Actually, the opposite is true. During the Cold War, the United States, free market economics and civil rights versus communism and no rights. Who won? The United States won. Freedom won. Communism fell. It collapsed in 1991. Communism is dead, they said, if you will. That was the argument. Who is superior? Who has the better idea? Freedom or communism? Well, communism collapsed. Freedom won. But these people refuse to take that as an answer. They just, for whatever reason, cannot admit communism doesn't work. Neither does socialism. So I looked up some statistics since he's glorifying the evils of communism and socialism here. I looked up some statistics. I looked up a book, actually, a specific book. It was published in 1997, and it's called the Black Book of Communism, and it was written about the history of communism in the 20th century. The book gives a rough approximation based on unofficial estimates, but it says that the amount of people killed by communism in the 20th century alone added up to 94.36 million killed. The Soviet Union appears the greatest mega murderer of all, killing around 61 million people. It's estimated Hitler killed 6 million Jews in the Holocaust. So communism, Soviet Union, just by itself, killed 61 million people. Hitler, who was a socialist, killed 6 million people. So that kind of throws his argument out with the bathwater, doesn't it? Communism doesn't work. Socialism doesn't work. I think that's very clear here. He goes on to make some more disturbing comments, and I'll try to kind of round up his comments here. He made a lot of comments, but I condensed them a little bit, so just for time, matters of time. Dr. Yuval Noah Harari, I know I said that completely wrong. Dr. Yuval Noah Harari, I believe is how you say it. When he spoke at the World Economic Forum, very dangerous, big part of the New World Order, said some very troubling things. He said, quote, "In the past, many tyrants and governments wanted to do it, but nobody understood biology well enough, and nobody had enough computing power in data to hack millions of people. Neither the Gestapo nor the KGB could do it, but soon at least some corporations and governments will be able to systematically hack all the people. We humans should get used to the idea that we are no longer mysterious souls. We are now hackable animals. Data might enable human elites, did you catch that part? Let's see, to do something even more radical than just build a digital dictatorship. By hacking organisms, elites, there's that word again, may gain the power to re-engineer the future of life itself." Unquote. If you understood what I just said, then you get what the New World Order is all about. They want to divide and conquer. They want to genetically engineer a slave race of people so they can be the elites over the slave race. I know that sounds completely insane. It sounds like science fiction, but do some research. I promise you that's what they want. We have got to come together. We have got to give up our differences. We have got to come together as free humanity and be free and make sure that our God-given rights are protected in this country. We have to make sure that liberty and justice for all are not taken away by these people who proclaim themselves to be the elites. These are the worst types of people. Hitler, in my opinion, these people are worse than Adolf Hitler. And I say that because Adolf Hitler was an extremely evil individual. He was a racist. But these people are worse than racists because they're betraying their entire species of humanity. They're betraying all human beings. We have to come together and stop these people. We have to fight for our freedoms. We have to look at each other and say it doesn't matter what our skin color is. It doesn't matter what our religious beliefs are. We're brothers, we're sisters, and we are free people with God-given rights, and that is worth fighting for. Long live liberty, long live the Republic, death to the New World Order.